Hello, I'm Dr. David Clark. I lecture in historical theology at the University of Roehampton in London. And this is the first in a series of micro lessons that I am entitling AI for Bible and Theology. I'm launching this project primarily with my students in mind and my colleagues at the university, but I do also think that some of this material could be of benefit for anyone who is interested in understanding how AI tools can help us in our study of the Bible and Christian theology. Now, I'll share a little bit about my context. When I first started seeing essays coming in, student work coming in, that was generated by AI, sometimes just portions, and sometimes I was getting entire essays that had been written by AI generators. My initial response was, this has to be stopped. And so I would write up my assignment guidance with very clear prohibitions against using AI, and I would really let down the hammer when students did submit this kind of work. I would give them a 0. I'd say, you have to do this over again. But I am now coming to the realization that this process of students using AI for their written work cannot be stopped. At a staff meeting the other day, the dean of our school made the comment that many of us who teach in humanities are often perceived as being somewhat Luddite. Now, this word Luddite is a great term. It means anyone who is opposed to the use of new technologies or who stands against new ways of doing things. Now, there is actually a really interesting story behind how we got this word Luddite. 200 years ago, England was the land of skilled workers. In order to become a craftsman, you would have to study under a master for several years as you slowly developed your skills. In the textile industry, for example, there was a system of apprenticeship. Young workers who were often between the ages of 12 and 14 would become bound to work for a master for a period of 5 to 7 years. And during this period, they would receive hands-on training, gradually mastering spinning, weaving, knitting, or what they called cropping skills. And apprentices often lived with the master's families, learning not only the craft, but also the discipline, the traditions, and the expectations of their trade. But early in the 19th century, everything began to change. The Industrial Revolution introduced new machines into factories, workshops, and mills. And these machines, such as mechanical looms or knitting frames, drastically increased productivity, allowing business owners to produce textiles faster and cheaper than ever before. But this progress came at a cost. Many skilled workers, particularly artisans and textile craftsmen, suddenly found their livelihoods were being threatened. Tasks that once required years of training could now be done by machines and often by unskilled laborers who were earning lower wages. And so it is from this era that the legend of Ned Ludd emerges. It's hard to know if he was a real person or not, but the story goes that a young apprentice named Ned Ludd, frustrated after his master had scolded him, smashed a knitting frame in a fit of rage. And so from this legend, Ludd's name became a rallying cry for workers who imposed industrialization. Groups calling themselves Luddites organized protests against the textile machinery they believed was robbing them of their dignity and their income. They broke into factories, they smashed machines, and sometimes they clashed violently with factory owners and even soldiers. The British government responded with harsh crackdowns, deploying troops and passing laws that made frame breaking a capital offense. Within a few years, the movement was suppressed. But the idea of being a Luddite lived on as a symbol of resistance to technological change. So our question is, were the Luddites right? Well, on one hand, they could argue that the quality of their products was far superior. In the 19th century, skilled weavers and knitters were producing fabrics and clothing that were much better than anything that a machine could ever produce. But on the other hand, over time, these machines did get better. they were able to produce textiles in mass quantity, making these products more accessible and more affordable for the majority of the people. In this process, many skilled craftsmen did lose their traditional roles, and the shift created an upheaval. But over time, industrialization also expanded economic opportunity. It created new industries and lifted the standard of living for millions of people. So while machines did displace many people in their traditional jobs, these machines also created countless other jobs, and jobs that would have been unimaginable before the Industrial Revolution. And so the lesson from history is that people must adapt to new technologies rather than attempting to halt them. And this leads us to the question about how we can use AI in our study of the Bible and Christian theology. Now, there's no question in my mind that AI is going to be incredibly disruptive. The way we read, the way we take notes, the way we write is all going to change. Now, let me illustrate a little bit what has been my own experience. I wrote my first research paper at the age of 16 when I was in 10th grade. And I remember I had to go to the Hennepin County Library in downtown Minneapolis. I had to check out books, in which in this case they were very old books. I brought them home, I read through the books, and I had these little white note cards that I would use. And when I saw a really good quote, really good information from the book, I would handwrite a note and I would put the title of the book and the author and the page number. And so as I went through the process of writing this research paper, I was developing my little stack of note cards. But by the time I was studying for my PhD, the technology had obviously changed. And I had a really, really great tool that I thought was amazing, which helped me in my process of reading and taking notes. And that was called the C Pen. Now, I have to say, I still use this tool sometimes. But this is like a little handheld scanner. And so what you do with the C Pen is you get yourself a book, you plug it into your computer, you open up your word processor, and then you just start running this scanner across the lines of the page. And as you do that, it's like an OCR reader, it picks up the text. And so when I did my PhD, I would go through my books, I would get out my C scanner, I would scan sections, and slowly I was putting together a Word document that I called my research notebook. What used to take me months and months can now be accomplished in less than a minute. You can go to ChatGPT, and if you know how to enter the prompts correctly, ChatGPT can generate you a 5,000-word academic chapter with outstanding references to all of the most important literature around a subject. And so now, as a university lecturer, when I see what tools like ChatGPT are capable of doing, this really can bring in a lot of fear. And so it can be very easy for me to see AI as a threat to my world. I ask myself the question, are all of the skills that I developed really needed? Or can AI do everything that I do? There can be an instinctive reaction from people in my generation to resist AI and to demand limits on its use, or even to view it as an enemy. As educators, there are three things that we need to be thinking about with regard to our relationship with AI. The first idea is adaptation. We have to go along with this massive change that is happening. AI is here to stay, and it is not going away. The second point is reskilling. AI involves the development of new skill sets. We as teachers have to develop these skills ourselves, and we have to learn how to train our students in the development of these skills. And the final point is creative collaboration. And this is going to be a central point in a lot of the micro lessons that I'll be putting together. It is very tempting to just let AI do the work for us. But a question that I often ask when I'm using AI tools is, who is the servant and who is the master. In the study of the Bible and theology, if we allow AI to become the master, we are in big trouble. Academic institutions are in big trouble. Churches are in big trouble. Christianity itself might be in very big trouble. I believe that AI can be used as a servant, as a companion, as a collaborator in our study of the Bible and theology. AI tools are really good at helping each one of us to develop the skills and the knowledge that will make us very effective in the study of the Bible and Christian theology. So the main point from today is don't be a Luddite. Don't fight against technological progress. AI is here to stay. It's already changing our world. We need to get on board, but we always need to remember who is the servant and who is the master.